And welcome everybody to This Is Difficult, the podcast. I have no clever intro whatsoever. I usually don't think of anything and it comes to me on the spot, but no, we're an awesome podcast. Here it comes, it's flowing now. We talk about video games and video game related here in topics. And I am your co-host, Lord Yeshua, here to bring some amazing news for everybody. Namely that I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. All right, we got Paul over here. We're on his channel. It's Ryu Gami-san himself.
That's me.
Down. It's Zach, our lovely, lovely hosts. Here we are, everybody in the flesh.
Yep.
Yep.
Damn,
that was like my worst.
No, it is okay.
Maybe I'll start writing them. You know?
Yeah. Hey, there's a novel idea.
I've only done it like 500 times now, so. No.
I mean, I've said it before. We do have a standard thing. I know it's boring. Maybe you could take that though and add your flair to it. You know,
maybe
what I mean?
I'll write like 50 at a time.
This is what I'll do. I'm gonna send you my intro, and then you can put your Josh spice into it, and it will be delicious.
This is
Don't you think?
getting weird again.
I know. Yeah. We like to go off the rails either way.
What rails?
What rails?
I was going to say, we don't need rails. What are you talking about?
We don't need any rails. I feel like we would be better as an audio show. You know what I mean? Like, it would be entertaining.
Yeah, we say that all the time.
Like, in the car. Like,
oh,
I can
Lord.
see people just like,
I mean,
these guys are just fun to listen to.
Admittedly, like, I do.
Your sauce will mix with ours, and we'll make a good goulash, baby.
What the
Right? That's,
Where the hell did that come from?
from the chat. It's a lyric from Tenacious D. It's Tenacious D.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
What if we
Yes.
say Paul does not sound like Jack
Jack
Black.
Black. You know what? When I'm really trying, I can actually sing like Jack Black pretty decent, but I wasn't really trying. It helps to have the music too. Yeah,
I do
tribute's
tribute
good.
and kick-a-poo at karaoke. All
I
the
do
time.
effort gently.
I do
that
because we're just starting to be PG now. Welcome to the kid fucking friendly show. Oh, sorry, I already screwed up.
Jesus Christ. All right. Well, boys, how have you been? Did you have a good weekend? Did you play any video games?
Yeah.
It was a great weekend, man.
Good. Zach, tell us.
Be careful of how loud I'm talking because of the new headset. Honestly, like I'm probably.
That's why monitoring is useful, bro. It'll also help you tell how close you are to the microphone, because you'll notice that your voice will dip up and down. So it's good. Monitoring's not a bad thing.
You can just open Audacity potentially, and it'll just. I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyway.
Anywho, Zach, tell me about the games you've been playing and any other fun things that you've been doing.
Not a whole lot in the way of games, but I did. I got into a couple. Trying to keep this from going off the innuendo cliff.
Off your endo.
Thank you, Todd. So yeah, I continued my.
Oh, fuck yeah.
We're old. We are. Dude, Scrubs. Did you see that?
It's timeless.
They did a reunion over the weekend, and Bill Lawrence is like up for he broke the internet saying that they were going to do it. They're going to do the reboot.
Really?
All, like, doctors. I would love that.
Yeah. I don't know.
Dr. Cox runs the hospital, and everyone else is like a lead doctor, and then there's like proteges, but they're not the main focus.
So
that's all I want.
That's fine, and it could be good. But actually, Adam and I
the proteges are not the main focus. I'm talking like JD and Turk and everyone are still the main characters.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I firmly doubt that it'll happen. Anyway, I continue my Mass Effect playthrough. Still loving that game. Good Lord.
That's good.
That's good.
And
good game.
The other game that I played, because I did make a conscious effort to be more accessible for my pregnant wife this week. So I sat on the couch while I did other things and played through Metroid Zebes Incursion Directive, which is the text-based RPG that I was talking about.
Oh yeah,
a couple weeks ago. It's really interesting. Like you can see some very clear cherry picking that was done. Obviously, it was an unsuccessful product. It didn't get a North American release. It was a very janky sort of
Wasn't
choose
it
your own
like
adventure thing.
a bonus content for one of the games, or was it released
I don't
standalone?
know how. I think it was released standalone, but
Oh.
it's a choose your own adventure. Somebody translated it very well, as a matter of fact, and they ran it through Twine, which is a fairly popular like text based, like old school Apple IIe era,
Like the Wumpus
text-based
Hunt?
adventure. Or Zork is what I would compare it to. Which
Anyone else
I love
remember
Zork.
Wumpus Hunt?
I do remember Wampus Hunt. I have it on my phone actually.
It's good.
There's a Twine implementation on phone, and I play Zork on it. But
That I
it's
don't understand.
Unfortunately, Metroid Zebus Incursion Directive. There's a lot of backtracking involved, and if you run out of missiles, I don't know how to get them. Like there is a way to get them back. No, it's definitely not roguelike, but
like 5 missiles.
Yeah. You start with 2, and then you get a few more. I think I'm up to like 7 available, but I've run out. I have none in the ammo slot.
Arm
at
tube.
this point. Arm tube. Yeah,
only holds 7.
Yeah,
where the fuck
and
do they come
so I've run out, and there is no enemy that seems to drop them. And what I think is going on behind the scenes is the enemies that drop pickups prioritize dropping health pickups, but as you go through the loop of defeating an enemy that would potentially drop something, you're also still taking damage. So I never quite get back to full health. Ergo, I'm never picking up missiles. And in order to drop the door to move forward, I need 2 missiles. It's a red door. So there's just some obnoxiously set up things. And I can imagine, going through in a spiral bound notebook and flipping back and forth and being like, what is this? Where is this? Because that's how it was originally written. Twine makes that a lot easier. But at the same time, I'm playing through what is functionally the original Metroid again. And it's really cool. It's a cool way to experience that. There's a lot of text, a lot of reading. Paul, you would, as a self-admittedly dyslexic person, would be miserable.
Yeah.
But
sounds awful.
Yeah, but and it's repetitive. It's very repetitive. So anytime you go, you're trying to grind for those items, you're reading the same wall of text over and over and over and over. And over
I actually did used to enjoy stuff like that a little bit. I had the Star Wars ones. Do you remember those?
Yep.
The little those are pretty fun.
Yeah. It's got some potential here, but unfortunately, it's just not all there. It's not a primetime product. I am going to keep going with it, sort of idly. It does save my game, so I'm not worried about closing the browser or anything like that. And I would like to see it does have original artwork of a lot of the villains and stuff, a lot of the enemies and stuff. So I'm sort of going through and taking screenshots of those as I go, because there's some really cool early fan arts of characters like Ridley or Kraid that you wouldn't see anywhere else.
Cool.
So that's fucking badass.
Cool stuff there. Other than games this week, I went for a 35-mile bike ride with my dad and my brother yesterday, and one of my top students graduated high school.
That's exciting.
Yeah, good for her. She's headed to University of Maine next year.
Nice.
Yeah, very proud of her.
Josh, what about you, my guy?
Yes. So, real quick though, has anyone really thought about where the missiles and shit come from? Samus is the most unexplained character if we really think about it.
So the way I suspend my disbelief with games like this, so like Mega Man or like Samus, anything, you've got like an arm cannon. There's only so much stuff that can fit in there while still having space for your arm. I imagine it as like an energy generated.
Yeah,
it's
an energy
projectile.
Energy. Yeah. I mean,
even the missiles aren't missiles.
Yeah, well, so in my mind, it's like either like an energy or like a liquid that like generates kind of on the fly, and becomes like a solid mass as it.
That makes the most sense. Yeah.
I did see
that's just my
a theory somewhere.
It's the only thing.
I see what you did there, head cannon. I did see a theory somewhere, probably on comic book resources or something like that. Some garbage news reporting site. I used air quotes there for those listening later. Who said, "What if it was like a 3D printer?"
Yeah, something like that, right?
Like
what
a
if
rapid
it's like
3D
nano?
printer.
Yeah.
No, I think
nanotech.
energy makes the most sense though. Like knowing the Chozo and like their like use of like thermo and energy technology, like making the barrier suit and stuff.
Or maybe even like a combination of the two. You also have the whole ball
morph
situation.
Ball thing. Yeah.
Well, the morph ball is another fucking story. Like, what if it doesn't work for like, it just crushes your body? No, that's gotta like shrink you in some way. Or like contort your body in a normal ass way.
Or like kind of warp you into like a pocket dimension inside the ball.
Maybe.
So it's a Pokeball?
Sure.
But like maybe.
Or an Ascendant realm.
Least explained thing potentially in all of Metroid.
Yeah.
Or in all of gaming.
Yeah. No kidding.
No, there's way weirder stuff.
Yeah. Like Kirby.
Kirby is a god. That's like an easy answer.
There you go.
That's the thing. I guess Samus could be like the one though. She could be her like abilities chosen.
She's Neo.
She's Neo, like for this multiverse potentially. What did I play this week? We talked a lot last week about the Elden Ring mod, yes, and how we were going to play it, and how we played it.
Is it great?
And we played it. It's so good. The game as intended. I'm telling you, no connection drops. You can warp wherever you need to go together. You vote on it. One person's like, let's warp to Bleep Bloop. And then it's like, trying to vote on this. Basically, you go to your map and you can either like not do it if you don't want to go because you're like, no, let's just ride there. Or if you do it, you guys will work together. So you get a grace. I automatically get that grace too as well.
That's awesome.
It's amazing. I can't even describe how much I'm not saying I wasted any time playing the game. I loved it. The original playthrough for sure. I will probably never play that multiplayer again though, unless my friend isn't capable of like using this mod, although it is super easy. But like so much time is saved not having invasions. Let's see. You're not nerfed. So everyone gets to be whatever they want. You can use great runes and all that stuff. It's really incredible. Like absolutely perfect mod in my opinion. It's really fucking good. And I'm pretty sure bosses are still scaled up. Like we're not having much difficulty with any of the bosses. It was like maybe 3 tries for Godric. But like we first tried what's her face? Rhea. And we're probably gonna do Radon next and stuff. But like
Radon's such a fun fight.
They're all such good fights, honestly. Like replaying them all with like I don't know what it is. We're not even high powered. We're not farming for runes at all. Like we're level probably like 40.
But
maybe
you
like,
understand the game now. Like it's crazy how you can go back through a FromSoft game a second or third time and not have to grind anywhere close to like not even a fraction of the amount that you did.
We did kill
the first time you played through it. You know what I mean? Because you understand the mechanics and you've learned how to play that game. And that's what I've always, well, I haven't always said this, but I've been saying this recently, is that I don't actually think that FromSoft games are difficult in the sense that most people identify difficulty in a game.
I would understand, yeah.
You know,
I would say that if difficult is described as you understand what you're doing fully and then it's hard, I would say it's not that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like if you fully are given the tools to understand
Sekiro
game,
is difficult.
You will be very that I heard, which I haven't played, and actually I've been watching a lot of Miyazaki interviews lately, and it's making me want to play that game. I think it's a PS exclusive, isn't it?
No, it's on PC now.
Is it on PC? Okay, I might check
Actually,
it out.
I think it released on PC. Actually, I think it was on everything originally. Yeah, I think it was multi-platform. Not
but
Switch,
I heard it's like
Switch.
just a little abusive. Like he really has this overarching theme he always talks about, where it's not just like the darkness, but he's like life is just shit. Like he's like life is just like awful, and there's like beauty and rays of sunshine in life, and victory from hardship is his whole philosophy.
I would say it's by far the most abusive FromSoft game.
Yeah. So he just like wants people to surmount it. It's not as much their philosophy is like, this is hard, but it's like, if you surmount this, you'll feel that much better if it was that hard. I've heard the bosses.
I think that's true until an extent. Like, I think that's actually very true until you get to like the heaven area of the game, which is kind of like the end game area. I won't say anything else about story.
Because now I'm probably going to play this.
So basically just the end game area. Once you get there, everything just like relentlessly fucks you, and it's not fun.
I will say there's a little bit of that in Elden Ring too, at least in the first playthrough, where you're finally still understanding characters and you get a grasp and you pass the Altus Plateau and Lyandel or whatever, and you go into the ice place. It's like slapped, bitch. You need to be 60 levels higher now all of a sudden, and everyone has a different play style and it's so much stronger. That was my experience. I feel like though overall Elden Ring is an easy game. It's kind of fucking weird to say, but like. I feel like a douchebag too when I say that, because people that are having trouble, and I've had friends like stop playing this game because they're like, it's hard as fuck, and they're like, I'm grinding, and I'm like, you're grinding? Like, wait, what? You just play the game, and you like, I can't even tell you how fun this co-op experience is, because me and Colin are both so competent, like we like know what's going on in the game, so we're just like destroying and like ravaging. Ride your horse together, by the way, getting all the best items together. It's so cool. And again, the enemies are still scaled up. They do have more health, but like, it's cool to have someone like super competent there. Like usually, if one of us dies for some random reason, we'll just restart the fight because we want to finish it together. It's just that much more satisfying and awesome. Never any connection drops. Anyway, nice. I could rant about that shit for a long time. This game is just so good. Aside from that, nothing probably. Cool. Yeah. I binged Stranger Things. Binge watched that.
Nice. I've been watching that with the wife. Actually, she's watching the last episode right now, and I'm gonna finish it tomorrow morning.
It's really fucking good.
Yeah, I like it.
But
I think that show's consistently gotten better with each season, and I think it's rare that shows do that.
I would say it went a little poopy in season 2, but came back hard at least. I don't remember it as much.
Dude, the last season, the one before this one, was freaking incredible.
It was incredible. This is the best season, though, in my opinion. Having finished it already, I'm just like, damn.
I'm with Adam. I think if I'm understanding Adam correctly, I think it's just been steadily downhill.
Really? That's
I
so
would
strange
say
to me.
I do understand. I think that the first season had this amazing appeal where it was like, okay, this is what we're doing. The direction is very clear. It's a clear-cut story, like the D&D aspect, and it's an 80s theme thing, and we're trying to bring that back. And it was like very powerful, and it was such a fresh idea. And ever since then, we've been like sprawling out these storylines. I think that might be what's kind of making it feel diluted to a lot of people. Like the character arcs are getting kind of long and drawn out. I will say the Hopper shit is kind of boring to me in this season. Like I really don't care about his character arc this season because it's like so detached from everyone else. No spoilers, but there's a lot of badass shit in the show still. Not gonna lie. If you just like don't care about the little details and you're just like along for the ride, I think it's a pretty damn good show.
Sure.
So my boss at the comic book store said something.
Are we an everything podcast?
kind of prolific. He was like, when in a world where time is precious, it makes a lot more sense to just wait until everything's available and watch it all at once. And the fact that they split Stranger Things into 2 parts, I'm just gonna wait for the second part and I'll watch it.
That's what I wasn't sure if I should say. That it was not everyone knew. I didn't know it was a 2-part until I finished it. No joke.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh fuck. I should have waited. I would have had 14 episodes of quality. Or it may literally just be like 1 more episode. Like no joke.
No, it's a full second half.
Okay, I was hoping for 7 more episodes. But like how have seasons gone from 10 episodes, like when Game of Thrones started, and now like Stranger Things is like 8 episodes now.
So
and certain things are like 6, 5, and 7 episodes. I'm like, yo.
So this is actually something I'm
episodes.
Somewhat uniquely qualified to talk about because I watch a lot of British television. From what I've observed watching British television is a series is as long as it needs to be to get the story across.
That's fair.
They commission it for a series. Here is your money. You make as many episodes as you can with that, or as you need to with that money. So one year you'll get a 6-episode series, and the next year you'll get a 14, depending on what they do with the money. And I think
anime does that a lot.
Right, and I think that because of the way streaming is marketed, I think that's how that's going down. I don't have any facts to back that up, but I
think that it actually is super probably factual and it sounds solid. But my only concern is when it's like actually storytelling. Like if you give us like The Mandalorian, that's like all the same like action shit and whatever. And I don't care anyone's opinion on the show. I actually liked it, but like, you know what I mean? It's just like filled with this shit that I'm like, this could have been 10 episodes of content, but instead it was 8 episodes with tons of fluff. And I'm like, what? Like this could have been a 4-episode show if they wanted to show just the important parts.
Yeah.
You know,
and
so they kind of
unfortunately the American filmmaking system is so rigidly attached to that the 26 episode season mentality that they end up padding out things that could very easily have been a 4-episode or a 5-episode miniseries.
Yeah, why do they do that?
I think there could be a balance, but you know, whatever. I'm just happy. You know, some companies are putting out good content, but it is annoying. I noticed, like, for instance, if you look at older HBO shows, you have like these longer seasons, right? Yeah. And now every season is 8 episodes, and that's kind of annoying. Like, I just finished watching Tokyo Vice recently, which was freaking incredible, but like, it leaves you wanting more, which I suppose is good, but they could have like easily made more episodes. Like, having to wait an entire year for 8 more episodes fucking sucks, dude.
Dude, I watched Game of Thrones from the start. I waited 10 years to finish that goddamn show.
Sure, yeah, we all did.
No cherry on top. Yeah, and that was what? It was 6 episodes the last season.
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
After you've been watching 10 episode seasons of meat and content of a great show, and then you're like, oh, it's just getting slowly worse and worse and more fluff-filled. Everything is kind of, anyway, but I see both sides. Like, as long as Stranger Things type shows keep coming out, I'm going to still watch like content, hoping that it's good, you know, and being like, okay, I think this season at least is very little fluff. So, which I do appreciate too. So 7 episodes, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's actually really good. Especially
and the next episodes are coming out in July, so you only have to wait a month.
Yeah, only a month. Wait.
So. What I did this weekend, I had a pretty cool weekend. I did play some games here and there. I had a total freaking reality check of my age this weekend. It was a funny story. One of my good friends has a daughter that just graduated from high school, which was like mind-blowing in and of itself. But I'm over there at the graduation party, and I'm talking to one of his other daughters, and we're talking about like the pastries they had there. And she's like, oh yeah, these all came from Black Dog, which is a coffee house, a local coffee house. And I was like, oh dude, I used to hang out there all the time when I was in high school. Like, that was like the cool place to hang out. You know, you go to Black Dog, have some coffee, you know, try and chat up some girl or something like that, whatever. And sure. And she's like, what was that, like 20 years ago? And I'm like, for a second I was almost offended.
Like, it's actually more.
Well, I mean, almost exactly, right? So I graduated in 04, and so like in 02 I would have been, you know, going to Black Dog doing the same thing, you know, I was a sophomore, you know. So like, oof. So I was just like, damn, like, you just really made me feel my age with that one. But so
kids don't want us to talk to them. We have nothing important to say to them.
I know, right? It's crazy.
But also, they're stupid. We shouldn't want to relate. Like, kids are dumb as fuck. Like, oh, what was that 20 years ago? How dare you not want to learn from your elders, you dumb bitch? Like, I'm just kidding. But like, in reality,
that's what I told this 15-year-old girl.
But in reality, being an adult is so funny like that, where like you can't relate to a younger generation very easily. I feel like
sure,
their knowledge is like so vast. It's like a huge gap, you know. Like, it's weird. Yeah. Anyway,
but so that was wild. As for games, you know, I continued to play Dragon Ball Z Legend and the Super Saiyan, which I'm going to review tonight. So I'll leave my opinions out on that for the moment. But I also played Trek to Yomi, which I am not going to finish most likely. Probably
a good game.
If I do, I'm probably gonna restart and play it on the story mode. Like, you've got options. You've got, like, you know, your super easy story mode, and then you've got a couple different difficulties. And let me just tell you, it's not because it's a difficult game. It's because the controls are so utterly unuseful, like unplayable, terrible, garbage controls that
What
it makes
console?
you not want to play the game, which is a huge bummer because this game is gorgeous. Like, it's gorgeous in a if this game was made on PS2, right? So this is a PS2 game essentially that came out in 2022.
Lots of wonky
which,
controls in that era.
Yeah, so and the graphics too, like I would say, you know, like the character models and everything are like PS2 level. And again, it's 2022, so I'm like, what's going on here? But the way it's presented is gorgeous. It's done in that kind of like old school, like Chambara, like samurai Akira Kurosawa style. It's got some really, really gorgeous set pieces. And the story is cool. Like I think that if you do play this game, you should get it on Game Pass, so you're not paying extra for it, and you should not bother trying to actually play the game. Just do the story mode, because like, you know, the enemies and the AI aren't bad. Like I said, it should be an easy game. But the controls are just so bad that even on like a lower difficulty level, I just played it on the normal difficulty level, it gets so frustrating because like your combinations don't execute properly. Or like, here's the dumbest thing. When you're in combat, you're always facing one direction, and there's a button that you can use to turn yourself around, or there's an attack combination that you can use to turn yourself around. But otherwise, you're always locked into that direction. You can't press backwards and just turn, right?
Why?
Exactly. Why? And so half the time, you know, when you're in combat and there's someone coming up from behind, it makes more sense to use your attack to turn. But sometimes that just doesn't fucking work. And so you're like stuck, like aiming the wrong direction, and someone's hitting you in the back of the head. And you're like, this is broken.
Like
this is broken. So, long story short, don't play that game on any difficulty other than the story mode. Just enjoy it for the experience, for the ride, for the art. Don't play it as a game. Like, that's all I can say. You know, and that's a bummer because I was really, really looking forward to that game. And, you know, maybe they'll fix it at some point. Maybe it'll get patched, but I don't know. So it's unfortunate. But there is something special about it, you know. And if that's something you want to experience, do it that way. That's all I can say. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's about it. Does anyone have any current events?
Yes, I do. I have a very exciting one. Josh, you're going to love this one.
Oh, give it to me, girl.
Go ahead, Zach.
Pokemon, the new ones. What is it? Ruby and Sapphire?
No, it's Violet and
Scarlet.
Scarlet? Yeah.
But
4-player co-op, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
How, though?
I don't know, and I don't care. It was announced this week, and I was like, are we
Everyone waited to see Elden Ring do it first, and they're like, oh, you can just make a fucking server and just let them put their password on it, and then you can have people join it. Did we not figure this shit out years ago? Like, Jesus Christ.
So, I mean, the lineup for This Is Difficult Versus grows ever longer.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely going to happen. What do you guys
think? Gotta happen.
I hate both legendaries, but
I don't care. I'm definitely getting
Violet sounds cooler.
Violet is my favorite color.
I thought they look cool. They look like cool dragons.
Purple?
No, one's red.
One's
Scarlet
is red.
Scarlet is literally the color of your headphones, Josh.
Is that right? Maybe I should get the one I can actually see with my color blindedness.
Oh, my bad.
I'll see what box looks cooler, honestly.
I always play the red version. I always play the red version of every Pokemon game.
Oh, it's basically blue and red. I gotta go Violet then. Yeah.
Yep. I always play whatever's closest to red, and I think that one looks cool.
Blue, isn't that? See, that's like a weird thing. Same. Like, that's funny. All right, I hope Blastoise is in it.
There's some cool looking Pokemon in there.
Hell now.
God, I am so excited to play co-op Pokemon. Like, I've waited my entire life for this.
Do we know any specs? What's the gen spread looking like?
I think this is Gen 15, if that's what you're asking.
Something like that.
It's not true.
It's a crazy 15? High number.
Maybe Gen 13?
It's like in 9.
It's in the teens.
Gen 13 is a comic book.
No, I don't think it's
I'm telling you, it's in the teens.
I think that Sword and Shield was 8. I think Sword and Shield was 8, no joke. But I'm not 100%.
I think that
maybe it's Gen 9.
Correct.
I think it's 9. I'm not sure.
I'm looking it up. Hold on.
Sorry. Also, I hope online co-op is a thing because that'd be really amazing.
I'm
Like,
trying
as
to
in,
count them
like,
in my head.
a competitive online co-op. What if there's PvP and shit and like other players?
Yeah,
like,
this is Gen 9. This will be Gen 9.
I told you it was Gen 9.
You motherfucker.
No,
that's
you
what I
said it was Gen
That was
14,
me. I
you
said,
dumb dick.
he said- I hope there is PvP if they do have an online co-op. Like other players. can
There will be
compete as-
PvP, but yeah, that's curious. Well, you know, in previous
Everything become
entries,
like
there's
Elden
been
Ring.
some big group battles, so yeah, that would be cool.
Everything is Elden Ring.
Hmm.
What about Elden Ring?
So-
But it's Pokemon instead of killing you, catch them and shit.
Dude, though, I would play
That'd be
that.
sick.
Dude,
I feel like
honestly,
this is
if
gonna
you
be
play
Arceus.
timeout, Josh, if you
I
play
know.
Arceus, it's got some elements.
People say that.
Yeah.
It
People
does,
say
it
it's like their
does.
favorite game ever, and like everyone I know that is playing it is basically 100%ing it. They're
It's
like,
so
"Oh,
fun,
so
dude.
good."
And it's
Yeah,
incredibly addictive.
I take it. I actually did play a little Arceus this past week. I'm
you?
still frustrated as all hell about that
I
final
think
battle.
they're. Oh,
The final
It's
battle's
hard.
hard as fuck.
So hard.
It's the hardest Pokemon battle in all of Pokemon.
Yeah.
what?
Let me
Gary?
just tell you, I'm not without
No.
giving you any spoilers.
Well, yes.
You have to fight like a boss trainer, and
6
then
Pokemon.
yep, and then you have to fight without healing. You have to fight a legendary Pokemon, and then
That'd be
without
OP.
healing, you have to fight that legendary Pokemon again in a more powerful form.
What the shit?
And
Yeah, it's
so
so
like it's all
crap.
without breaks. So like I mean, you can use healing items, but you can't like.
Just use
you're-
legendary Pokemon.
I am.
It's hard. It's hard.
It's so hard.
Okay, I believe you. It does sound horrifying.
I'm
That's like
literally
Dark Souls
grinding for
City.
rare candies at this point.
Yeah.
Yeesh. Even
Use-
Elden Ring
use
is
dragon
like 2 in a
Pokemon.
row.
But it's good. Anyway, Josh, do you have
Type
any current
advantage
events?
is still a thing, I assume.
Yeah, it is.
Do I have a
A current event? If you don't, that's fine.
I'm just trying to think. There's like no news for anything. A little bit of Breath of the Wild art got spoiled. Did anyone
That's
see
true.
that?
I did
You
not
saw
see that.
the sword.
Yeah.
Oh,
Master
I saw
Sword.
that like a week or two ago. The one that's
Yeah.
like broken.
It's like
It's like
I don't know if we
melted
can
almost.
It's like wiggly. Like it looks like a
It's
spirit
wiggly.
sword now. I think
Yeah.
he's like reached into some kind of well of power by accident, and now his like arm is not fully in this realm,
Yeah.
and it's like calling back. So I don't know exactly, or he's being controlled by Ganon in some way. There's some sweet Ganon connection here that is probably going to make me really excited if they execute it well.
I think so too.
And don't give
I really
him any
hope so.
voice lines at all, and just stop making it a voice thing altogether. I just know they're not going to take out voice acting, and like I kind of wish they would. What if they just decided they would? They don't have to do the voice acting, guys.
I don't
adamant about
necessarily have a problem with voice acting as long as it's good, but
Ganon.
the voice acting in Breath of the Wild was so bad that it ruined the
know.
experience for me.
So bad
Okay,
that I'm
let's not
scared
go
of
down
what they're
this
going to
rabbit
do.
hole again.
I know, but I'm just scared of what they're going to do to Ganondorf if he's given lines.
I know.
Yeah. And then Link's like, "Hey, everybody," and I just turn it off. And go back to
Dude,
the-
Okay, no, that's it. If Link talks,
I'm
game
done.
over. I'm
I'm
never
not
buying a
even-
Zelda game
I'm
again.
not even going to keep playing. I'm
Yeah.
going to return it. Like,
All right, what about you, Paul? What do you got for current?
So the PlayStation thing happened, like State of Play or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
Right. And actually, some of the stuff that we saw from that leak was on there. Some of it was not.
Some was factual.
So I think that leak was probably kind of like a general whatever. But one of the things that I saw that both gave me much excitement and also much dismay was the Final Fantasy 16 gameplay trailer. What gives me much excitement about it is it's like a return to like medieval Final Fantasy.
Okay.
Which
all
is
right.
cool.
Copying Elden Ring.
But here's the problem. It's a return to medieval Final Fantasy with Devil May Cry gameplay. Like, if you look at it, like it's like super fast-paced action combat where you're like doing like aerial combos and shit, and it's like, what are we doing here? Like,
it's like anime now.
Yeah, which like, but what happened to Final Fantasy? What, like, it's a fucking RPG, like. And I don't mind you evolving a battle system and doing something, you know, more real time and like what they did with the Final Fantasy VII remake. Fine, sure. But like, this is such a departure from what Final Fantasy is that like, what are we even fucking
I
doing?
couldn't
here?
agree more. Yeah, I just want original Final Fantasy VII again. Like,
Sure.
There
Great
was
mechanics.
a joke in the third Starbomb record about they were trying to come up with a song title or a song idea, and someone suggested Final Fantasy 50, the really, really Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I almost feel like we're heading toward that point at this point.
Oh yeah.
It's like
It's not Final Fantasy anymore.
it's not final, and it's not. Yeah, it's just not Final Fantasy. It isn't.
Yeah.
It isn't what it was.
It's hard to continue.
At least this
series
is a
like
return
this.
to fantasy. And I will say they showed some summon stuff, and there seems to be like an alternate like battle system that involves just the summons that looks almost, I hate to say it, kind of Pokemon-y. But,
Did you play 15? Either of you?
no, but it
No.
looked terrible.
I beat 15 actually when I had a PS4, and
It's got very Final
combat-
Fantasy 15-esque combat.
yeah, the combat was actually like a little more fun than it looked. But like, you know what I mean? Like chaining
Yeah.
combos and stuff got to be pretty fun.
Yeah, but
I can see
it's
it
not an
being too much.
RPG anymore, though, is it?
Yeah, it's not really. No.
Like, yeah.
You kind of like move in directions, and your guy like goes and like he's like and like cut him up real quick, and then like to the next guy, and it's
Yeah.
like you don't really move like you would in an open world.
Yeah.
So to that extent, it is technically more of like, yeah, like an RPG in a way, but it's so far departed. Like it's hanging by a thread basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really miss like true RPGs where a
Me
lot of
too.
people are.
They still
printing them out
exist.
now. They do, but they're like there's no heart in them. I feel like the writing isn't there, and like
I don't know that that's necessarily true, but I think they're fewer and farther between, you know?
I think
Like,
it's probably
Triangle
one of the least-
Strategy just came out, and I hear
I
that
heard-
game is excellent.
Is it? I heard the same thing I just said basically about it though, and Squid Games or Octavian Travels, whatever it's called.
Octopath Traveler?
Yeah, I heard like it's like they're both like soulless. Like it's
Really?
entertaining and the gameplay
Maybe.
is neat, but like the writing is kind of like hollow.
Maybe.
I'm like I want to like
Dragon
cry,
Quest
like,
is still doing it, you know?
Dragon Quest is good. There
Yeah.
are very few that are doing like unique. Yeah, God, I wish Paper Mario would make a real resurgence,
Sure.
a real one.
Well, let's switch over to the review, boys.
Let's do it.
Swink, swink, swink.
My mom used to call it Dragon Balls.
Dragon Balls. So,
You watching Dragon Balls?
hold on.
Yes, I have been.
There we go.
Yes, I have
Fixed
been.
it.
I'm a 12-year-old
All right.
man.
So the game that I'm reviewing today, let me get my mouse out of there, is Dragon Ball Z Legend of the Super Saiyan. The original name for this is Dragon Ball Z Super Saiya Densetsu. It never came out in English officially, so I'm definitely playing a patched version of this, though I am playing it on original hardware, which is dope. Well, kind of original hardware on the Super NT.
Okay.
So that's very cool. A little bit of information about the game. Told you the name. It was developed by Tosei Software, produced by Bandai Namco. Actually, at the time, it was just Bandai. This game came out in 1992. So if you think about when the Super Nintendo came out, this is like almost an original Super Nintendo game. Nintendo came out Super Nintendo came out in 91? Is that right?
Looking it up.
91,
I believe
yeah,
so.
in America. I believe 90 and then 91.
For perspective,
America.
when this game came out, I was 4.
Yeah. So this game
I was
is
3.
old.
Actually, I based on the actual date, January 25th, I
Oh.
would have been 3. So I
Okay.
had not yet turned 4.
A youngster.
Fair. I don't know what I'm doing in the settings here. I'm going to skip forward in the.
I guess I was still 1.
There we go. So
Technically.
let's move on with the review. This game, so it originally came out on the Super Famicom, January 25th, 1992. So, like I said, this is an early gen Super Nintendo game, or Super Famicom game, rather, since it never came out in the United States. Like I said, I did play it on a Super NT, which is a reproduction console that uses FPGA for Super Nintendo. It's very cool. What did I like about this game? This game, I would say, is probably the pinnacle of Dragon Ball Z RPGs.
Shit.
We kind of semi-recently reviewed Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and the only thing I could think about while I was playing that game was why isn't this more like Super Saiyan Densetsu, Legend of the Super Saiyan? Because they got it right with that game in 1992. You know, like just use that as a template and move forward. Make it more modern. Make it stretch out beyond, the Frieza saga, which is where this game ends. And you've got a win on your hands. There's some incredible attention to detail in this game. There's all the characters have multiple attacks. There's counter attacks and like follow-up attacks that will somewhat randomly happen more often when your characters are higher powered. There's a lot of cool little secret things. One of the things that I never even knew about until recently, and one of the viewers in my chat pointed this out, is that the Saiyan characters, if they go down to 5 health and you use a full heal on them, they will gain a level, which is a really cool mechanic that harkens back to how Saiyans, if they get, if they fight to the point of near death and then recover, they come back stronger. It's really cool. And
I mean, that was Vegeta's initial theory on how to go to Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
Near death.
So, so Gohan, Vegeta, and Goku all have this mechanic built into their characters, which is really cool. Vegeta also has a cool mechanic where if enemies try to run away while you're in battle, he'll chase after them and kill them, which is super cool. Like, there's all these cool little details in the game that just make it so unique and cool. It's something that not only do you not really see, never saw in RPGs of this time, but even, modern RPGs don't have as much attention to detail as this game has in some aspects. There's a lot of other cool stuff, cool secrets in the game. There's a secret ending where you can fight against Super Saiyan Vegeta, which is really cool. Trying to think of some other neat stuff. But regardless, like I said, the attention to detail in this game is fantastic. It's a little bit short, but that's extended by what I would say is what I don't like about this game, which is the random encounters are Zubat Cave level. Everywhere.
No repel. There is no repel.
Well, there is a repel. Yeah, there is. There's
there wasn't.
No, I forget which item. So like everything's based on a card system in this game. Yeah. So like your combat, I'll explain in a minute how the combat works, but all your items are like cards, and one of the character cards does act as a repel. It basically keeps you from fighting for a certain amount of time. I don't remember which one that is, but yeah, so that's kind of neat.
Okay. So early on when you were first playing it, you were getting frustrated because we didn't know that.
Well, so the items are few and far between as far as like, your access to them. You also have a very small inventory, and it's also not easy to gain money in this game to buy new cards. So there's 2 ways you can do it. You can sell cards that you have, or there's certain training areas that you can basically fight for money. But to me, it's not really worth it because you don't gain experience when you do that. You just gain money. So, that's kind of a bummer. But, what this game does right really outshines most of the negatives of this game. The encounter rate is brutal, though. And like I said, that really extends the length of this game. Because like I said, this game only goes to the end of the Frieza saga. So once you defeat Frieza, that's it, unless you get the special Vegeta ending. So that's about it. Another thing that I do like about this game that I didn't mention before was that you can kind of alter the story. As you may have noticed in the gameplay in the background, our characters are on Namek right now, and we have a full roster of characters. We've got Yamcha, we've got Tien, we've got Chaozu, we've got Krillin. Like, everyone's alive. no one is dead. And that's something that you can do in the Sega Saga, or Saiyan Saga rather, is keep your party from dying, and they'll carry on with you. The only person that dies no matter what is Piccolo, who you get back later in the game when you wish him back with the Dragon Balls.
Dope.
But yeah, it's really cool. Let me explain the battle system real quick too. So you get 5 cards, and those are your attack cards. On the top of the card, you've got a Dragon Ball, and those are numbered 1 through 7, and then Z is your highest card. So the higher your number, the faster your attack will come out as far as like attack order, and also the more powerful it will be. And then the bottom logo on the card, you have the Japanese characters for numbers 1 through 7, and then the Z, and it acts the same way. Like the lower it is, the less defense, the higher it is, the more defense, Z being the highest. So that's kind of how you pick your cards. Also, each character has a symbol underneath their avatar. And if you find a card, if you have a card with that symbol and you have that character use that card, that's their quote unquote favorite card, and they will attack every enemy in the battle, which is also pretty cool and pretty useful. So there's a lot of strategy involved in the battle system as well. Once you understand how these cards work.
One of the things that I observed early on in your playthrough is it plays virtually identically in terms of the card system to Mega Man Battle Network, which wasn't out until many, many years later. And it's a totally different property. Coming from one to the other, it just made sense to me.
Yeah.
So it's impressive how simple it is graphically to get all that information across.
Yeah.
Damn, how much damage does this guy need to take?
Well, right now this is a boss battle, right? So we're fighting the Ginyu Force in the gameplay behind us. And we're fighting Raccoon, who is, super strong. So this battle's hard. In fact, on my stream I had to restart this battle because I lost one of my characters, and I didn't want to lose one of my characters. There is permadeath in this game. So like if one of your characters dies, they're gone for good. Can't wish them back. If your main character dies, so in this instance it would be Gohan at this point of the game, that's game over. So, and you got to reload your saves. So you do want to be careful, but honestly, once you understand the game, it's not terribly hard. It is kind of grindy, which is a bummer. But all the insane amounts of random encounters, serve to make that pretty easy to do because you're constantly fighting. How is the story? The story is the story of Dragon Ball Z. So if you like that, you'll like this. Was it engaging? Just as engaging as the show is, right? There are, like I said, little elements here and there that are added or changed. Like there's a dungeon that has freaking Zelda fairies in it, which is so out of place and weird, but it's fine. Whatever.
Gotta sell A Link to the Past.
Yeah. How's the gameplay?
Mario references.
Like I said, the gameplay is excellent. It is, for not only for its time, it was a revolutionary battle system, I would say. But even now, it's one of the more interesting and entertaining RPG battle systems, especially because all of the cool animations that they add in. And like, if you're higher power than the enemy you're fighting, when you knock them down, not only will they fly down, but you'll get an extra animation where they smash into the ground and there's a big explosion. Or if you knock them, horizontally, they'll go flying, and instead of just stopping, they'll keep flying and slam into a rock, and the rock breaks apart.
Which from the show, I mean, they do that all the time.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Awesome. Like I said, the attention to detail is just really great. So let's see. The art is fine. I would say for its time, it's pretty good. Though I wouldn't say this is the pinnacle of pixel art on the Super Nintendo. There are some really cool, sprites and stuff, especially in like your battle sequences. But it's pretty basic, especially outside of battle. Like the graphics look like they could be, NES in some instances.
Outside of battle, it looks like you're wandering around a Commander Keen map.
Yeah. It's not great. But in battle, there's some really cool stuff. So
I'm about to admit something rather embarrassing, but in high school, I did a sprite comic, a la Bob and George or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Goku was one of my main characters. And all the sprites that I got were from this game.
Oh, dude. Back in the day when Adam and I were playing this game, Adam painstakingly screenshotted frame by frame the characters and made like animated GIFs with their with the sprites.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's pretty cool. But yeah, sound design, not the best. It's not awful either. One of the things that like you probably will notice when on stream when I've been playing this is like the battle music is like oddly catchy but extremely repetitive, and if you like it, it's great and it gets you pumped up, but if you don't like it, it'll probably drive you insane. Because it's repetitive as hell. But it's not terrible. Again, I think it's kind of a consequence of this being a very early Famicom game or Super Famicom game. But it's not the worst. How long did it take me? It's been taking me a long time, but like I said, it's a fairly short game. I think you could probably beat this in 20 hours or less. And for an RPG, that's relatively short.
That's pretty long for a Super.
Yeah. I haven't actually beaten this yet on stream, but I've beaten this game before, which is why I felt comfortable doing a review. And I'm pretty close to the end of the game. Would I play a sequel? God, would I? But have they ever made a sequel? No. There are some predecessors to this on the NES that actually go further into the saga than this does, ironically. But they're not as good. The battle system's very similar, but there's not like a free roaming, world map and stuff. You're kind of on tracks, which is a bummer. I also don't know if there probably is by now good translations of those, but back in the day when I was playing these games, there wasn't. So, but yeah, unfortunately, modern game designers have not taken a cue from this game, and they should. Because you can make something really excellent that spans the entire, width of the Dragon Ball Z saga with this style of game and be excellent. Overall rating and impression. So I'm going to do a twofer on this. We're going to give it the for its time rating, and we're going to give it the modern rating. Okay. Because there's some very dated things in this game. For its time, I would say this is like an 8-9, easy.
Nice.
It's excellent. Easily an 8-9. By modern standards, I have to take it down a notch. Let's see. I gave Dragon Ball Z Kakarot a 6.3. This is miles better than that game. Even with all its dated mechanics. I would say 7.6 is a fair score for this game. There's certainly some frustrating things like the Zubat encounters, but overall it's an excellent playthrough. And if you're a fan of the series, you owe it to yourself to play this game.
Definitely.
You owe yourself this game.
Paul, to answer your question from earlier, and Josh, listen up here. The top clear times are in the range of 2 hours. And there's a big gap between second and third, Josh, that's just calling for Lord Yeshua to take it over.
Really?
It's there's the second place is 2 hours, 10 minutes, 55. Third place is 5 hours, 51:33.
I think I can manage
I don't
that.
even know how you would do that. You'd have to like super optimize your items.
idea.
I'm sure there's some glitching.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, these are any percent runs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to steal a record. Someone's coming up on my Donkey Kong record, by the way, guys. So I was just like glancing at that while, in the bathroom the other day.
Yeah.
Secured my record. And then a new guy in the last 2 weeks, he started streaming or started uploading at least. Because it'll tell you when a video is uploaded, even if it's like 100th place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It won't matter. But this guy got right behind me. So what am I? Am I 5th or 4th? I don't even remember. I think I'm 5th. This guy got 6th by like 10 seconds.
Oof.
It's like something scary, yeah. Don't look it up now just in case I got lowered.
Yeah.
Well, you can if you want.
Well, now I want to.
But yeah, he's coming for me.
Dang, watch out. Anyway, boys, that's the review. Let's switch on back. Cool. All right. So, our topic for the day. Crowdfunding. Video games by crowdfunding. Is it viable?
Kickstarter and such.
Yeah, Kickstarter. What are some other things? Has there been
Indiegogo? I don't think GoFundMe really gets used for this sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It's mostly Kickstarter, but also like the reason that I started thinking about this was our discussion last week about
the money that
Steam
got
early access.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we did talk about early access games and kind of like some of the pitfalls and stuff of early access. So our first question here, boys, and I'm going to shoot this one to Zach first. How do you think crowdfunding impacts the release structure of a game?
So the intention in my mind behind crowdfunding on some level is to generate hype.
Yeah.
It generates attention, but it also precludes you from getting any kind of mainstream attention. So it's not going the traditional advertising route of let's make a commercial, let's make a trailer, let's make this, that, the other thing, and really, go broad. In that sense, it's really targeting to an audience, targeting to a specific audience. So if, let's say Game Freak hadn't done Pokemon or the crowdfunding was just available during Pokemon, they would say, okay, who's playing X, Y, and Z games that are somewhat similar?
Ironically, the actual name of Pokemon.
I know. But who's playing these types of games? Let's target our advertising toward them and get the best possible chance at success here. The problem is at least in my mind, and I am not a game publisher, so I don't know for sure, but development costs are expensive and unpredictable. And you can't do things like predict a global pandemic in the middle of a game's release window. Okay, well, maybe if you're Bandai Namco and you've got Elden Ring.
This is the closest thing I have to a tinfoil hat.
Right. Yeah, if you're either Animal Crossing
tinfoil
or Elden
unicorn
Ring,
horn.
Right. So I like in my mind, it caters your game toward a specific audience. That's how crowdfunding directly impacts the release structure. Game. But also, they crowdfunding platforms ask you to state a projected release window, and now you're saying, "I'm going to have this beautiful title out to you by the end of the year," and oh, whoops, I didn't predict for this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah,
now it's not going to be out on time.
I mean, looking back at like crowdfunded games, can you think of any that did come out on time?
No.
Like I'm trying to think of like the biggest ones. Like you got like Shenmue 3 and Mighty Number 9, and what else? You've got, what was the Castlevania like one? It's actually really good, but definitely didn't come out on time.
Hollow Knight late. Cuphead 7 years.
Yeah, I can't think of a single one that delivered on time.
No, and I think what it does is ultimately, how does it impact the release structure? It hamstrings you.
Yeah. You also you tend to see things like flex goals and stuff, which are cool, right? But a lot of times they end up extending the release of the game because now they have to go back and like add in, this character or this,
we didn't
whatever.
think you wanted textures in the game. Oh, that'd be another $20,000. Sorry, our bad.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting. What are some existing models for crowdfunding? Have any of them been more successful than others, and why?
Oh, I mean, isn't there only the one existing model, the good one? You just make like a prototype of your game, essentially.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, for me, like you see like a good concept, right?
Yeah,
and or like some minimal gameplay or like a good trailer for the game, and you ask for money, and that's the structure, right? Is there any, would you guys say there's a different?
I mean, that's pretty much the one. I mean, like you give players using your game.
There's also the idea of using crowdfunding platforms as a pre-order campaign.
Yeah,
where you basically have a completed product and you're just looking for a way to market it.
Sure.
Yeah. Which is the thing.
Yeah. Which in my mind, that seems like it would be more effective. The problem is you've got to come up with the financial capital to.
It seems more unscrupulous, if I'm being honest. It sounds like you're borrowing their money because you don't know if it'll work or not.
Well, that's the failing, Josh, of a lot of game Kickstarters is they say, hey, we've got like an eighth of a product. We need to borrow your money to make this happen. And then we ran out of money.
Yeah.
We need more money.
Yeah, which is like you can't take out a bank loan. Why? Because you're 24-year-old in your mom's basement. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so why is it our fucking problem that you can't get $50,000 to make?
Well, sometimes it's not, right? Like the people who made Shenmue, like the first two were huge games, and it was a fairly well-known game creator. Same thing with Mighty Number 9. That was like the dudes who made the original Mega Man, right? And the Castlevania like one that I mentioned that for some reason I can't think of the name right now. It's called like Curse of the Moon or something. That sounds right.
Sounds like a Castlevania game itself.
Yeah, I mean they're very Castlevania-y. Those are made by like the original Castlevania creator, right? So like a lot of these games are made by like well-known game creators that maybe don't work for that company, don't work for Capcom anymore, don't work for Konami anymore, and they want to make a game like what they know you love, and
that's how we ended up with Yooka-Laylee.
Don't have the backing of Yooka-Laylee, but you also there's some good ones out there. It's tough though. It's tough to predict. Zach, how would you say it differs from a pre-order, though?
Well, because it's not a completed product.
Right.
A pre-order, if I'm going on, and this is the best example I can give, when I go on limited run games, I know what I'm ordering is a completed product, and they're just trying to get it into my hands. Whether it's a Game Boy cartridge, a Switch cartridge, whatever it is.
Feels right.
That thing is finished.
It feels really complete. Yeah.
Right. And the only thing they're looking for money for is the physical production of that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where a crowdfunding campaign is, we've got, and actually Adam does bring up.
It's like we've got a concept.
I mean, Adam's run several successful Kickstarter campaigns.
Yes.
And they've put out good products, and have they had any delays on their stuff? I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Honestly, he's my brother. I don't follow his shit that closely.
Yeah, that's.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I'm not
100%.
We have an
He's in chat right now. He's in chat right now. He's like 100%.
User in the chat.
Yeah.
So it's a shame we can't have him on for a sec to explain how it works.
Yeah, we should just talk shit on him and his Kickstarters right now. No, I'm just kidding. But they've been successful campaigns and they've delivered, right?
Right.
Maybe not necessarily on time.
Well, like Miyamoto says, my favorite.
He's pointing out now, everything has delays, and a lot of backers don't understand that. They want it on the printed date, full stop.
Yeah.
And that is unfeasible. To actually predict when your product is going to arrive is ludicrous.
The only difference is that AAAs and Nintendos and whatnot can,
because they already have them.
I know,
Yeah.
which is just like what we're used to, is what I'm saying. It's like
Right.
indie is great. We love indie games and the industry, and we love what it stands for and represents in the gaming community. But like, damn, if you say like March 25th and now it's like July 30th and we still don't have the game, I'm like, okay, this is kind of dumb. Like a AAA would not do that. Like, well, although that actually did happen to Elden Ring, a little bit.
It happened. It's happened to a lot of AAA games.
It does, but
recently.
it is not like, it's not a great look.
Yeah,
Cyberpunk and shit.
Though, I mean, like you can never predict what kind of issues you're going to run into. The hard thing is, like I said, like with these AAA companies, they've got these, they've got a lot of money backing them already. So they don't have to really worry about that. With indie companies, they might be sitting on, a brilliant product that they don't have the money to put out. And that's why something like this is necessary.
Or the ability to hire the, for lack of a better word, pitchmen,
sure,
to get the any kind of a investor backing, in a conventional sense.
Yeah,
that's where something like Kickstarter comes into play, and they're like, okay, now the general public is your investors. And true, it's not a pre-order,
sure,
in that way, but it is definitely
you're given the gift of the game for donating a certain amount.
Right, exactly.
What are some examples of games that have successfully been launched on time via
time? Name
on
one.
time.
I really don't think, like, I when I wrote that question, I was like, I don't know.
I want to say Celeste, but I feel like that's not true.
I can't think of any.
Is Celeste? They were given
every time I see a video game Kickstarter, I'm like, I don't know that I can comfortably say that, because we hear so many horror stories.
Mm-hmm.
This company has taken my money and run. This company has done this or that or the other thing. Then you get Star Citizen, which is
Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon. That's the name of the fucking games. Sorry, God.
Wow.
It just popped into my head.
Like Star Citizen is, I bring it up as the most egregious that I can think of Kickstarter failure. We're pushing 12 years on that.
Well, people are still. I wouldn't even say it's a Kickstarter, right? Like, did it start on Kickstarter? Okay.
Started on Kickstarter.
Now people are just giving them money directly,
because to further kickstart that game would have been a violation of the TOS. It is a pre-order campaign now, and it goes directly through them.
This guy's literally just getting like his rent paid for by idiots,
dude. It not just rent, Josh. I went to one of his like launch party things for some iteration of alpha testing on Star Citizen, and it was a full, like, he took over the same concert venue that I've seen, like,
so he dropped like $1 million in giving funds,
dude.
Yeah,
I said this a week or two ago.
Use it on the game, asshole.
I know a guy that has personally put over $30,000 into that game.
I would be so mad if he threw $1 million party after I donated $30,000.
Yeah, freaking
like,
on a game that's never gonna finish.
So why? Because he just wants his life paid for. Yeah.
So my two buddies backed the game for our company for another letdown, and they bought all four of the at the time members of the team their own ship and their own like exploration vessel, so like a smaller ship.
Mm-hmm.
And they got so suckered into this game. And my best friend Travis and I were standing in the back of the auditorium, or the, I guess, concert hall, and we're like, I feel like we're surrounded by cultists. Like, this feels like it feels like a Ponzi scheme.
Have you guys played it?
Yeah,
I've played it too.
The biggest problem is we played it on 2 generations old hardware.
Yeah, I played it on fairly recent hardware. I mean, it was when I was still doing the Husky Entertainment thing. The guy who I mentioned spent $30,000 on it. He bought us all ships and stuff, and we played it, and it was cool in concept, but it was far from a finished game. And like, there was something about it that made me motion sick, which I've played a bunch of first person games and never felt motion sick. And like, this game for some reason did. was wild. But I mean, the concept's really cool, and if they ever pulled it off, it'd be amazing. But the problem is, it's a Ponzi scheme at this point, you know.
And they're so far behind that by the time if they do get a finished product out, it'll be on 2 generations old hardware.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
You always copy paste it into Unreal 5. It's just do that.
There you go, everybody. Lord Yeshua solves all your problems.
Yeah,
that'll be $1 billion,
guys. Why does crowdfunding fail, Josh? Tell me.
For the exact reasons we're talking about right now. Basically, you can't meet expectations that you basically are trying to cater to this niche audience, like we were saying in the beginning, that like loves your idea and get all these crazy ideas from that audience. But by doing so and being so entwined in your community and like so ear to the ground about what they want, that you can often fill your game with too much and you can't meet expectations at all and you make no one happy. And now you've angered the people that were wanting this the most to succeed. Mm-hmm. And now it's completely failed because your niche audience doesn't even want it. So it's very easily done. There's so many indie games I've forgotten about at this point that like never came out. I'd be like, oh, there was one actually. I don't know if it's still coming out or if it ever did come out, but I don't think it did. Like this Ninja Warrior chick from the jungle, like platformer. And we saw it at like an E3 thingy like 2 years ago or more. And I told you guys about it. And like, it was supposed to come out like a year and a half ago. It never came out. It failed. I really want to play that game. I'll try and find the video for that. But tons of other examples from like farther in the past too. Sure. Like it's a lot easier now than it was then, I feel like, to kind of, because a lot of people want to see these ideas come to fruition. So there are just random ass investors like that just want to throw like hundreds of grand at an idea. That's the thing. You really don't need too much to make a game. So
for the sake of time, I'm gonna wrap these last 2 questions into one. Because we've gone a little late and we started a little late. So what are some outstanding benefits to crowdfunding, and how could a company use those to alter a crowdfunding model to release a successful product on time? Like how I meshed those into one, Zach? It's pretty good.
Kind of, but now my brain doesn't know how to answer it.
Can you tell I wrote these while I was in between classes this morning? So one of the things is we need to start learning from the mistakes of other companies.
Yeah.
We as an elementary school teacher, a lot of what I teach the kids is learn from your own mistakes, but we also need to learn from the mistakes of others. One of the biggest problems that we have with, and what I was going to say about why crowdfunding fails, is as soon as you release any kind of product, whether it's an alpha, a demo, whatever it is, people are going to start finding problems with it. And then you've now reallocated your resources to patching those problems rather than actually tackling the rest of the game that needs to be made.
Yeah.
And there was a model back in the day where beta testers were revered because they were the last thing you do, or close to last thing you do, before a game is actually published. If we can get back to that model where you put a beta, a ready-to-go beta, on your crowdfunding source and say, we need X number of dollars just to finish up this product. That seems a lot more viable than saying, I've got this half-baked idea that I want to see made into a game. Because then you're taking into account the opinions and thoughts of your closest to completed product.
Yeah. I think another important thing would be to set realistic expectations and don't overpromise. Like it's real easy to have like awesome pie in the sky ideas. A perfect example, though not a crowdfunded game, is No Man's Sky, right?
Yeah.
No Man's Sky, good old Sean, whatever the hell his last name is, Sean Murray came out of the gates swinging, promising all these amazing things, and just kind of talking out his ass, like, oh yeah, we're going to be able to do this, this, and this. It's going to be the greatest thing ever. And the game drops and it did not deliver, not even close. Now it has after, years of updates, really excellent updates, but those things should be, if you're going to promise those things, you need to set an expectation of when they're going to be delivered. You know,
even if that's as simple as just saying down the line, here's what we'd like to do baseline.
Mhm.
Down the line, we'd like to add these features.
Sure.
Everyone
Like
in your
that-
audience should be like, every smart one should be like, don't drop it then. You're like, okay, don't release it then until it's ready. We won't give you our money. See, if only we knew that as an audience. Be like, so we could give you like 90% of the game now, and you can pay full price, and then you can pay $30 more down the road for the completed version. What do you think, guys? No, we'll take the completed version every time.
Yeah.
DLC is a fucking scam.
If
Anyway,
if it's a bonus, we've talked about this.
it
before.
really feels, honestly, the more I think about it, even like afterthought ideas should just be whole new games.
I don't know if I think there's like there's a Goldilocks zone there, right? Like think about Diablo 2, right? Like the DLCs, like Diablo 2 delivered like a very excellent completed game, and then it came out with excellent DLC that wasn't necessarily
so good.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily enough for a whole new game, but really extended the experience of the original and made it excellent. It was worth it, you know. Current models, like especially Nintendo's models of DLC, I think are egregious as fuck.
But like the free 40 courses in Mario Kart.
Mario Kart's a little. Look at let's look at like Zelda or Hyrule Warriors DLC. Those things are garbage. You know.
Year in Mario Tennis.
I don't know.
Hyrule Warriors, I haven't even played that yet.
I will say though, Paul, to your point,
I mean the DLC.
If I recall correctly, and again I was very young at the time, when Lord of Destruction dropped, they dropped the price to the base game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's nice at least.
So you and the battle chest came out very quickly after.
But that doesn't affect people that already own the game, and they're like, "Oh, $30 more, neat."
Right.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of done with this story too. It really depends because like Dark Souls and shit does this like crazy. You know, it's like it kind of works because people like want more. They crave more from that world.
Yeah, and Dark Souls they'll generally do one really good DLC. You know, and that's it, and that's a good model. You know.
Yeah, that's
true. That's not so bad.
Any final thoughts before we wrap, boys?
Hey, Rick.
Be very cautious before you back a video game Kickstarter.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd say
for
so.
sure. Yeah. Let other people do it.
Yeah, let other people donate their shit ton of money. Because they'll do it.
Yeah.
$10.
Sucker born every minute. A fool and his money are soon parted.
Adam has a different view. Do you have time to give us your different view real quick before we end the show? Don't back anything you're not willing to lose money on.
Yeah, that's true. That's the same thing as investing.
I think that's more or less what we're trying to say.
I mean, that's like any investment, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I hear all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
All right, boys. Well, that's the end of the show. If you're watching this live, you are on my Twitch channel. I stream on Tuesdays and sometimes on Thursdays. Right now, I'm playing the game that I reviewed tonight, Dragon Ball Z Legend of the Super Saiyan. I should be finishing that up soon within the next week or so. On Saturdays, I always play a samurai game. I don't know what I'm going to play this next week. I doubt I'm going to pick Trek to Yomi back up. Yeah, so it's always a samurai game on I can't talk right now. Samurai Saturday. And then we're back here Monday nights for the podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, that whole business. Patreon. We don't have one of those, but you know, you can
one of those.
donate money if you want.
I really ought to set one up. That's not hard.
Hand us a $1 bill.
Yeah,
put it in our hat on the street.
I would like that. But yeah, that's about it. If you want to yell at me on Twitter, at Ryugami-sama. Josh, where can we find you, bud?
Yes. Lord Yeshua and Lord Yeshua TTV on all my shit. And you can find me not there. Maybe someday.
Dude, return to streaming. We all want it.
The weeks fly by, and I'm just like,
they do.
It's kind of insane, honestly.
Dude, we're all waiting with bated breath for the return of Lord Yeshua, man.
He comes by from time to time. Yeah. Shadow.
Yeah. Zach, what about you?
And you can find me on Twitch at Another Letdown. I should be live on Thursday. I don't think we're doing Gear Up because Alex has other things. So I'll probably just play Mass Effect and enjoy that. And Friday, we're continuing our Dunwich Legacy campaign of Arkham Horror Living Card Game on Trapped in Arkham. and Marvel Crisis Protocol minis being painted on Saturday on Watching Paint Dry. And yeah, that's that. I'm on Twitter at DENONCZD, but I basically don't even look at it anymore. So
Oops.
Right
you're
on.
yelling to the ether at me there.
There you go. Well, everyone have a great night. We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.